Kalimera. If you ever watched any Yorgos Lanthimos movie, you can see his genius in his movies. After watching a few, I was like, okay, I really love how this guy thinks, and I really love how he sees the world. I just have to type him. So, in this video, I will be focusing on his MBTI Cognitive Function Stack and his objective personality type. So, let's do a little deep dive. So, looking at him, what I'm thinking is like his face reminds me of my kind, EPs. Let's see if this is true or not. And then, like, at some point, I actually stumbled across his website. And if you look at this, it kind of looks like a little bit disrespect to the sensory, maybe. And if he's kind of SI, not sure. Why is he hugging you? We will see. And I've always wanted to make movies, so he knew what he wanted to do, and he started chipping in and so on. That make people think and feel differently. Okay, and a few thousand times differently. Yeah, so this tells me that my bias might be right, but yeah, let's see. Every time I'm typing someone, I just need to make sure that opening moves are fine. And these are the big coins. So let's start if we can see anything regarding observer versus decider. So self versus tribe and control versus chaos.
I love the ripple of recognition that went around the room when we started. The second part of that dance, is that flash dance?
How many have seen Dogtooth? Huh?
It was a big thing when it came out here.
Yeah, yeah, it's flash dance, obviously. Yeah.
I mean,
and the first part is une femme c'est une femme from Godard's bar scene.
It's goodness me.
It's a very fucked up version of that.
No, I think understandably so, having just seen that clip, you work from the very start has been described as absurdist. Now, how do you feel about that label? Is it something that you identify it with, and what do you kind of see the meaning of that term being?
I mean, it's always not the most pleasant thing to just be boxed into one thing, and it's always like there's always a reaction to that. I guess there is some kind of absurdity in the films, but I think it's there. Well, I hope they're more complex than that, and so that's why always the reaction is like, okay, I mean, whatever, sure, it's a satire, it's absurdist, it's I don't know, it's whatever you like it to be.
So the interviewer asks him a question, but what he does is going with what he wants to ask people. That tells me maybe self-above tribe. Might be. How many of you have seen the movie? So he needs to get the feedback from people. Even though he knows the answer, by the way, he just have to ask. Play. That is telling me he has play above sleep, maybe. And teasing himself, this kind of it was solid double deciding, if you ask me, but it might also be about like having friends above flags. So might be. And I love that he called him absurdist. That is something that we can watch for. And how does he feel about the label? It is always not the most pleasant thing just to be boxed into one thing. And there's always a reaction to that. Like, that was also important. To me, this feels like this control is a weakness for him. So he's on the chaos side. And whatever you like it to be. That also is maybe iffy somewhere. Just saying. So right now, what I'm leaning on is observer, self, and chaos. But we will see. Let's watch this one.
Thinking forward. So, for instance, with The Lobster, if I was to say, I have this great idea for a story, it's about...
How many have seen The Lobster?
Yeah, I mean, this is Yorgos Lanthimos in conversation. Take it as read that most people will have seen most films.
How many have seen Kineta?
When you pitch an idea like, so here's a singleton who is, he's got to find the love of his life within 30 days or he's going to be transformed into an animal. You don't necessarily think off the back of that
I
premise.
understand. Just you saying that to me, I understand what, what they mean.
But you don't.
But to me, in the beginning, it's not like that. It's not like, because I say it, so it's not. It doesn't sound like that. It just sounds normal. Like we have this conversation with Efthimis, especially that the work we've done with Efthimis, it's all original work. So we've it's things that we came up ourselves. So we just have these conversations and we think they're normal. And they are in some way. Like they all saw it, so it's, aren't they normal people? So yeah, it's just I guess when you remove yourself from it and take some distance, I understand why people have the need to like describe it a certain way or make sense of it by using language. But the thing is, the trouble is, like, language is not always, sufficient for any kind of work of art, I'll say reluctantly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, quite a lot in there again. So, how many of you seen this other movie of mine? And the interviewer says, take it for granted. Then he asks again, okay, what does this tell me? Because he's not supposed to do it, he does it. Like, it's like, you don't tell me what to do, is the background of this. So, this is control lust. He's a gatherer. This is called extroverted observer in objective personality system. So, we are not sure yet if it is extroverted sensing or extroverted intuition, but this is OE, extroverted observer. So he is a gatherer, that I can tell. And also, like, of course, like, this is for granted that most people will be like watching his movies and so on, as they're there for him. He just have to ask it again. So that feels like, okay, isn't there something that helps you to narrow things down? In my case, for example, I have the double activated OI. So you will see that coming up quite often. But in his case, I'm like, this is too much play, maybe? Like, he doesn't have any sleep or blast to help him with narrowing down. Coming back to OE, which OE function he has? Is it intuition? Is it sensing? I'm leaning more on extroverted intuition because that is what's normal to him. When the interviewer explains things like some like not sensorily possible things, whatever, like he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it now. Also, quick switch between self and others, so he's able to see his point of view and other people's point of view in a really, really fast way, so he doesn't need to ping off of something or whatever. He is an observer. There's also like the scale of understanding. I'm leaning more on like he sees where other people coming from. So that is telling me like an E maybe. I'm leaning more on that one. And he was like, they also with, aren't they normal people? Like bringing people into the conversation more and more, like all the time. This is play, and this is probably double activated play. I understand why people need to describe it in a certain way. This feels like SI language to me, introverted sensing language, and it also reminds me of ST, and these are probably weaknesses for him. So descriptions and so on, like somebody else is doing the describing and so on, and with a limiting thing, which is language. That smells like demon SI. Okay, let's move on.
So after the killing of a sacred deer, we come to the second major twist in your career, which is that you go on to make a costume drama. What were your feelings about that genre before you came to The Favourite? Because it has such a kind of a rich, particularly in this country, of course, such a rich heritage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there had been some that were special and but I mean most of it but that's, I guess that goes for any kind of genre. a lot of it is so generic and just, yeah, not very interesting to me. And I guess seeing that opportunity just make me think that I try something different and just try something different. Because I think you always, I'll speak for myself. I always try and like shift, even if certain things are similar. I do need to find the elements in them that make me feel like I'm doing something different, something new, something as original as you can do. But of course, it's near impossible to do that. So I think the costume drama just presented this challenge that to see if I could make something that felt my own within the genre.
Okay. So regarding self versus tribe, generic is not very interesting to me. My perspective. So he's putting self above others. That's how it feels like to me. Seeing that opportunity, OE, he's a gatherer, I'm not gonna talk about it anymore, makes me think TI, because we already are seeing self, TI makes me think that I try something different. Okay, this is like gather to the infinity. So I'm leaning more on TI than FI. I know he's sharing his values all the time. I feel like I want to, whatever. Yes, he keeps sharing his values, but FE, extroverted feeling, is usually not weird about this. Make something my own, something original. This feels like consume language to me because I don't have that. It is weird to me, so it has to be consumed. That's what I'm thinking. The minute he was about to blast, teach. Blast means like teaching, giving a lesson in objective personality system. So he immediately changes gears and I speak for myself, so self above tribe. I'm quite sure at this point. Let's see if this is FE or TE, what he has extroverted. So extroverted feeling versus extroverted thinking.
Is this a good moment
To ask about money?
to ask specifically? Yeah, I've got it. Ed Gurney, your producer, who you mentioned, asked you how do you feel about commercial success, whether a film lands with the audience. Do you want to do it privately? You think about it, right? You want the audience.
I think about it. Like I want it to happen, but I don't want it to happen the way it happens. I don't like I want people to make their money back, and I want people to watch the film, but I don't want to be, going around like a, like a freak parading around the world, just having to, explain, the film and what it is.
That part of the promotion.
But I love this part, for example, and I love that you're doing it.
And that these people are.
And then there's these people here.
But I guess that's one part of it, which we know you have mixed feelings about.
Right in the beginning, he's like, ask about money. And money reminds me of value spectrum. So is this an FE joke? And he's conveying the emotions in the abstract. So without any words, he's just using his gestures, mimics, whatever. And then you see that you feel what he's trying to say, or like what he's saying without saying anything. And he's not weird with feelings. He can share what he wants easily. Because like he's also like self above tribe, and he has FE in this deck, so he's not getting weird about it. And then he calls himself a freak and parading around the world, whatever. Like, expectation of flex just because you produced something is disturbing to him. It is kind of quite disturbing to him. That's why I'm leaning more on social number 4 because they have ego lust. So for him, it would be like friends and family at the top. Then we can watch for it. But just imagine a number 1 making a movie; they would have no problem to flex about it. And yes, he doesn't want to explain the movie, which is called Blast in Objective Personality, and Blast is a weakness for him, I would say. And making the movies as well, like he is taking his time, and like it is taking him quite some time to get to there. And yes, he definitely doesn't want to do this over and over and over again. And this is an EP. This is my kind. And then we also see that he's really aware of the room. So he's NF. He has no problem to read the energy, NF energy of the room, and then switch whatever that he needs to do to fix if something is going wrong. And let's see where his feminines land. Who made the decision to reveal the truth at the end of Bugonia and why?
I mean, help me, Will, but I think that was part of the original film as well, and it made sense, and we kept it. He's nodding, so he agrees. But I think I don't remember how the original film ends. I only saw it once after reading the script, but I think after revealing that, I think it was very important for us to show, the world, that sequence of the world, and also try and do it not in a cliche way where you just, see monuments and stuff all around the world, but go more into, smaller and more personal stuff and more intimate things, and create an ending that's where the ambiguity is, like, because it's interesting. One of the interesting things that going around and doing a lot of interviews is that you see people like perceive the ending. Some of them are like they see it as totally bleak and desperate, and others see it as hopeful. And I think that's interesting, and that's where we try to maintain some kind of ambiguity, because it tells a lot about you, like how you experience this and how you see the world. And I love that to happen, like as we were discussing before, to allow the room to go this way or the other way depending on what your mindset is or what your mood is, or anything like that. But yeah, I think that thing, the ending it was part of the narrative structure, which I think worked well in order to challenge, all the things that we believe throughout the film and change our minds about, and it doesn't give a definitive answer, I think, because of the end. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you asked.
Okay. So, shoving with self, shoving with thinking, that's what I see. And it makes sense all the time. It makes sense. It is, I see thinking above feeling and self above tribe. And I see his extroverted decider function is FE as well, so extroverted feeling. So his mind prefers TI, is safe to say. And the more he talks, he is an extrovert, I would say. He trails up while talking. Then what we have seen, ambiguity on the feelings of others and ambiguity on the interpretation of others. This tells me both intuition and feeling are extroverted and feminine. So he has double feminine NF play. That's what I see. And one quick check on his social type.
Yeah, we talked about Jesse forever. I think we thought about him for a couple of things, but he wasn't available. I'd never really met him until we met for this. But I always had him in mind, because I think he's just basically one of the greatest, of his generation, for sure. Like, there's no question for me. So I always wanted to work with him, and it turned out really great. He's now part of the troupe, and as you'll read in the news, we're making another film with him.
Okay. Yeah.
The next one is with Jesse again, so he's become like family.
Yes, he's become part of the family. He's so amazing. I was so extremely excited to work with him, and I mostly interact with him in the movie. So it was, yeah, a huge gift to get to see, how he goes about it. He's also a really nice and interesting person, which is always a bonus when someone's that talented, but they're also just lovely to be around. Yeah.
We vet people before we work with them.
That's
certainly.
a big
We need good
defining
people around.
factor.
Yeah, it's seriously. I mean,
Truly.
we don't want any assholes around. So we do try and make sure that people that we haven't worked before, we kind of have some kind of assurance that they're not, pricks. And Jesse turned out to be, of course, the opposite of that, and that's why we're working with him again.
Amen, baby.
Talking about one of the actors in the movie, he's talking like he's a friend, like he's a family. What I see in Yorgos Lanthimos is that he's aware of the impact of the environment on him and on everything he produces. This is what we know, tribe-oriented people. This is what we know. That's why we want all the nice people, nice environment around us. That's why I'm doing this basically. I just want to talk to people like me. I just want to help them and help myself. And in this environment that is supportive of each other, not like competitive of each other. I just cannot do that, And he has a troop that he calls family. That is telling me he has ego, lust, friends at the top, family at the top. And another part of his genius, that's why all the movies are like loved by people, his rehearsal style as a director. And that is just a collaborative creative drama games, what he's making the actors play. Rehearsals, it's not about the text, not about whatever. It is about like making a fool of yourself in front of everyone because they are your family. So you can do anything. Like if you want to try something as an actor when you're actually shooting the movie, you are allowed to do anything. Nothing will be out of limits. Nothing will look stupid or whatever. Like it is kind of a small ego death what he's making the actors go through. And that tells me collaboration above everything else. This is like, I wish I knew that this kind of environment existed for acting. Like, maybe I could have pursued it then. And I also see specialization. He is talking about this in his interviews. I will link all of them below. That like in Greece, like there was not a real chance to become a director, but the closest thing that he was able to do was something else. So he started chipping in the same direction. Like he wanted to become a director, and he did everything he could, like for all the years, and he improved himself in this specific area. He kept improving himself. And thank God he did that. So let's go to type reveal. My subjective guess for Yorgos Lanthimos is an ENTP, an extroverted one. So his objective personality type is audio, NETI, consume, play, blast, sleep, blast, number 4. That is my subjective typing result. So allegedly he's an ENTP. Okay. What this type is telling me, first of all, I do have a soft spot for this type. They're all so lovely people. Okay. um this type, like he's almost the same type as Guillermo del Toro. Del Toro is just a little bit more introverted, so he has blast instead of sleep blast. It looks like, yeah, I really like the point of view of these audio ENTPs when they become a director. I think it's just lovely to watch anything that comes out of this mind. Yes, that is the ENTP genius mind behind his movies, I believe. So I will be typing Roger Waters next, and it is an interesting type that he has if you want to type along. Take care. Hello, my friend. I'm looking for people like me. If you enjoy the content I put out there, please do like and subscribe and be in this community. I am trying to build a community for people like me, for people who need this place where they can be exactly as they are and kind of an incubator for self-actualization. That's what I'm trying to achieve. I have recently started a project called Little Tail. I'm hoping to see you there. I'm hoping to have our group sessions where we explore objective personality coins in a playful way. This is how we're going to be using our play to get to our sleep. And we will have the sense of community, a community where we are welcomed. We don't have to deal with all the negative stereotyping and so on. So if you're interested in a community, a supportive, collaborative community like that, please consider joining me in social media wherever you're watching this. Please come as you are. You're always going to be welcomed here. I also wanted to mention that I started typing people, so if you like my subjective opinion or your type, you can reach out to me on social media. And also I have this program. If you have a small group of people where you would like to explore team building activities, I would definitely suggest trying out my new program, Story Circle Sessions. So that might be really something that everybody would enjoy and grow together and have amazingly good bonds together. Take care.